Hi everyone, welcome to a cozy rainy night, which is the backdrop of my second episode in my new All About Buffy series. So it's apparently going to be a habit that I film these in my pajamas. And incidentally, my pajamas have a link to the show again, but this one's kind of, I don't know how obscure, maybe not for real fans. So I'm wearing Snoopy pajamas. And Xander does this Snoopy dance. So there's a link to the show. I think he does it at one point to prove that he's himself. Maybe in The Replacement or another episode. I don't know, but it's referenced in at least 2 episodes that Xander and Willow share this memory of a Snoopy dance. I'm currently very warm, but I have my other pajama shirt here for when I inevitably cool down. Although lately my body has been thinking that filming on its own is a physical activity, whether or not I move or not. So maybe I'll just stay very warm. It's also becoming a bit of a habit that I'm going to film all of these twice, apparently. It happened with the first episode, and it happened with the second episode, so this is also the second time I'm filming this. And, the first take is just a little overexcited, a little chaotic and unstructured. I go off on many a tangent. But I feel it's good to, get all of that out once and then, sit on it for a couple days and try again. With literally any other video, having to redo it would make me cry. But I love talking about Buffy, so I don't really mind with these. Okay, so we're talking about season 2 today. Just a brief repeat of my 2 disclaimers. 1, these will be riddled with spoilers, so don't watch if you still plan on watching the show and you don't want to find out everything. 2, what I'll be saying are mostly my opinions. So even if it sounds like I'm stating them as fact, like if I say, that episode sucks, or that's a stupid character, or whatever, they're my opinions. I know that they're my opinions, so you should know too. Not fact, my opinion. opinion, and you're free to disagree, and I apologize if I insult anyone. Okay. So, opening up my little listy list. I explain this document in the first episode, so it just helps me see the timeline, even though I know all of the episode titles by heart. Okay, so here we have our season 2 DVD box, which looks like 6 out of the 7. And even just in the difference between season 1 and season 2, I think Buffy shows some marked changes in appearance and demeanor. Okay. Season 2. So, like last time, I will be starting by sketching the main plot, and then kind of focusing on the characters, and lastly, my favorite episodes. Now, season 2 is what I would say is most cleanly my favorite season. So, although I have other seasons that I consider favorites, the other ones have elements in them that I hate quite passionately. And season 2 does not have that. So it's a favorite season, and it doesn't have any particular thing that I hate in it. So I guess the logical conclusion would be that season 2 is my favorite season. But that's kind of hard for me to conclude because I never watch any season 2 episodes on their own. So there's no standalones that I return to, which I very much do with my other favorite seasons. So I guess overall, if I have to pick like a whole season that works best, I would pick season 2. So, the plot. We begin with an episode called When She Was Bad. And in it, Buffy just returns from a summer in LA with her father. And, she's off. There's something wrong with her. She's kind of mistreating the people around her. And it's obvious that this is because of the whole, dying thing. So at the end of season 1, she died, and her confrontation with the master was just quite traumatic in general. So she's still very much carrying that along with her. And so, kind of focal point in the first episode is that she smashes the master's bones as kind of a cathartic way to seek closure and stop him to be able to, rise again. So that's kind of a beginning. But then, quite early into the season, we meet two new characters. And these are two of my favorite characters. So we will definitely be coming back to them later on. So in the episode School Hard, Spike and Drusilla show up with an iconic entrance by smashing the Welcome to Sunnydale sign with the DeSoto, his car. And so Spike and Drusilla are vampires. They are a couple. Drusilla is Spike's sire, and Angel, by the way, is Drusilla's sire. So they come to town because they are looking for Angel. Drusilla is unwell. She has lost her powers. She is very weak. And there is a ritual to save her, to restore her health. But they need her sire to do that, and that's Angel. So that's why they come to town. But soon after they arrive, Spike discovers that there is a slayer in town. And, it is obsession at first sight. He has killed 2 slayers before, and it's kind of a preferred pastime of his. So that really catches his attention as well. And that first episode where they show up, there's some great scenes between them, a lot of chemistry, banter. There's this line. Do we really need weapons for this? I just like them. They make me feel manly. So it's fireworks from the start. So Spike discovers that Angel is good and helping Buffy, and he is deeply betrayed. You are my sire, man, my Yoda. And so, I guess that makes the whole having to kill him for the ritual easier, but also more difficult because he's being protected by a slayer. So, Spike and Drusilla. And they're going to be very important throughout the season. However, they're not the big bad. So, a couple filler episodes. In the episode Halloween, we meet Ethan Rain, a former associate, partner, friend, consort of Giles. That will have a role to play later on still, so I'm mentioning him. And then we have these 2 episodes around the middle of the season, a 2-parter, What's My Line, Part 1 and Part 2. Genius episodes where there is a career fair in school, and so Buffy is dealing with, right, I'm the Slayer, but I'm also going to school and I need to, I guess, figure out what I'm going to do with my life. I guess, if I have one or not. Anyway, so while that is going on, Spike sics the Order of Taraka on her. And they are this order of assassins. It's not like a organized group. It's more disconnected than that. There's all kinds of different members. Some are human, some are vampires, some are demons. There's a bug guy. So it's a pick and mix of hitmen, and they pose a considerable threat to Buffy. And they also attack at the career fair, which already lands Buffy in some hot water in school. And so we meet another important character called Kendra. Now, when Kendra first sees Buffy, she sees her kissing Angel. She sees her kissing Angel instead of killing him, which she should be doing since she's the Slayer, while he's vamped out. And so Kendra is not a bad woman. She is another Slayer. So when Buffy died for those couple of seconds in season 1, a Slayer was called, and that Slayer was Kendra. And Kendra was sent to Sunnydale by her Watcher. And she sees Buffy, sees her kissing Angel, and assumes that Buffy has gone dark side. So she consequently attacks Buffy, attacks Angel, and since Buffy is dealing with these assassins coming out of the woodworks, she assumes Kendra is one of them. So they fight, and they have quite a tumultuous first meeting. So when everything gets worked out and they figure out that Kendra is in fact the next Slayer, it turns out that Angel is gone. Kendra locked him up to die, but Spike got to him first. So Spike has Angel and begins the ritual. It takes place in this church on a big altar where Drusilla and Angel are tied together, and they stab Angel, and his blood is supposed to seep into her and heal her, and it's a thing. So the ritual is occurring, and Buffy and Kendra bust in there to save Angel. So a fight ensues, and ends when the church organ is brought down and falls down onto Spike and Drusilla. So they managed to save Angel before he bled out, and Spike and Drusilla are covered by the rubble. But it turns out that the ritual had already gone on long enough to restore Drusilla to strength, and she rises from the rubble holding a limp and unconscious Spike in her arms, who ends up being paralyzed from the waist down. So that, basically after that, Kendra leaves. I love Kendra, but we're gonna get back to Kendra later. So, a couple of filler episodes, and then it's Buffy's birthday. Now, Buffy birthdays are a problem, and eventually she accepts this and just stops celebrating them. But at this point, she doesn't know yet. But Buffy birthdays are a problem, and they spell out disaster every year. So the disaster this time starts with the fact that Spike is paralyzed, so I guess Drusilla is assembling these parts of a demon called the Judge, and he sucks out the humanity out of people or things with humanity. And so he was cut up into pieces, and so they're having all of the pieces shipped to Sunnydale to assemble him. And this is badness, because he can do some real damage, this demon, if he's assembled. So they're all frantically trying to stop him. It may mean that Angel will have to leave with one of the pieces. Drama. But the pieces all end up being collected, and Buffy and Angel end up soaked in his apartment. And at this point, they sleep together for the first time. Which, fair enough. Because, we're all working very hard not to think about the fact that Angel is 240 years old. They sleep together. Slight problem though. The Romani clan that cursed Angel with his soul, they put in a little bit of a clause. In the fine print was included that he would lose his soul the second he experiences one moment's true happiness, because the curse was intended to make him suffer for eternity. So the second he's no longer suffering, there's no point to the curse anymore, and he loses his soul. But unfortunately, they didn't exactly know that. So, one moment's true happiness, and let's just say the angel that Buffy went to bed with was not the same angel she woke up with. Now we're going to get back to that whole metaphor later. But so, she wakes up. I think when she wakes up, she's alone, so she leaves, kind of confused, insecure, wondering. Meanwhile, we meet Angelus. So Angelus is Evil Angel. And he's a little paler. He's a little more Irish. He's just different. It's funny. And so we realize that this is a scene that I like, that he's like a pure evil. Because meanwhile, Spike and Drusilla have succeeded in assembling the judge, and he's like weak from being in parts. So he's still gathering strength, and he needs to suck some souls to do that. So Angel shows up, and Spike's like, oh, here, tasty soul, suck him. And the judge is like, he's clean. There's no humanity in him. Or something like that. I don't remember the exact quote. And it's like, okay. Anyway, so later on, he returns to the apartment. Buffy finds him there, and there is a heartbreaking scene between them. There's a couple heartbreaking scenes in this season, and this is the first one, and so he is super mean to her. It's just, I can't even repeat the words, but it's bad. And so he proceeds to destroy her self-esteem and ruin her for years to come. And yeah, he leaves or she leaves. It's badness. And there's a super depressing scene where Buffy's mom gives her a cupcake with a candle in it and says happy birthday, and she's like, aren't you gonna blow it out? She's gonna make her wish, and Buffy's just sitting there dead inside, and she just says, I'm just gonna let it burn. And okay, so Angel, evil. Right around this time, we find out that Jenny Calendar, our techno-pagan, is actually part of the Romani clan that back in the day cursed Angel. So she was sent there by her family to keep an eye on Angel, keep an eye on the curse, but she wasn't exactly given enough information. She probably could have stopped it if she had just talked to anyone. But whatever. So everyone's really angry with her. Yeah. Then next 2 episodes, we've got phases, which is important. It deals with Oz, but Oz isn't that important to the main plot, so I'm just going to talk about him in characters. And then we've got Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered. It deals with Sandra and Cordelia. Again, not important to the main plot, so I'm going to come back to that in characters. But then we have Passion. Passion is a stellar episode where we really get a taste of Angelus's style. Now, Angelus's style isn't just, I like to kill a bunch of things. Angelus's style is, I pick a victim and I destroy their lives before I kill them. So this is what he did with Drusilla. Drusilla, Spike's sire. She is mentally ill. She's mentally ill. I guess you could say, like, sort of schizophrenic. I mean, there's definitely some psychoses going on there. So when she was a girl, she was actually not mentally ill. A little strange because she did have visions already, but she was fine. And very devout Catholic girl, going to be a nun. And Angel set his sights on her, killed her whole family, killed the whole nunnery, drove her absolutely insane, and then turned her into a vampire. So yeah, Angelus is twisted. And in this episode, we get a good taste of that. There's some dead fish. We are very lucky that no one had a cat or a dog at this point. Just some fish. Can handle fish. And there's some mind games with Buffy's mom. And he kills Jenny. So Jenny had just figured out the translation to the curse to restore Angel's soul. And she hadn't told anyone yet. She just figured it out, and Angel came along to kill her. Now, thankfully, she had just saved the translation onto a floppy disk. Yes. 1998. So the floppy disk did survive, but Angel burned and destroyed everything else and killed her. Of course, being Angel, he didn't just kill her. He then had to put on an elaborate plot to really inflict some pain. And the victim was Giles. So Giles and Jenny were just sort of restoring their relationship after finding out about the betrayal. And they were meant to have a date. And Giles comes home to his apartment. Soft lighting, candles, rose petals, music playing, little notes leading him up to the bedroom. And well, you know what he found there. So Giles goes a little nuts. I think at that point he heads on to the mansion to kill Angel himself, but he is stopped in time for he gets himself killed. Okay, couple filler episodes. Gonna come back to one of them, all three of them, in the in the episode section, but I just want to finish the main story now. So, meanwhile, Angel, tired of it all, apparently, has a plan of his own to basically end the world. So, he wants to awake a demon called a Kathla, which would basically create a portal that would suck the entire world into a hell dimension. So, all of this kind of comes to a head in the last 2 episodes, becoming 1 and becoming 2. Genius episodes. Fantastic season finale. Love it. So, Angel acquires the rock that Akathla is housed in. He brings it home, and there's this great scene where Spike is like, "It's a big rock. Can't wait to tell my friends. I bet they don't have a rock this big." He's so snarky. I love it. And so Angel opens the rock, reveals a Kathla, and a Kathla has this sword encased into him. And so you're supposed to do this ritual and be worthy, and then you can pull out the sword and open the portal. So Angel does the whole ritual, pulls out the sword, tries to pull out the sword, doesn't work. And Spike is like, "Someone wasn't worthy." Oh, wonderful. So, it turns out that they need help to figure out the ritual. So, Angelus sets up this plan, which is meant to lure Buffy away and have her come to him. But the point of the plan is to, meanwhile, have Drusilla and his minions go to the library, kidnap Giles, because Giles will be able to decipher the ritual. So Angel and Buffy are fighting. He's stalling, and at some point she realizes this and she rushes back to the library, but she gets there too late. When she gets to the library, she realizes that Giles is gone, Willow is unconscious, she ends up in the hospital in a coma. Sandra's arm is broken, and Kendra is dead. You see Kendra, in the end, returned to Sunnydale because I can't do the accent. I'm not even going to try because it's going to be really offensive. She is Caribbean. So she was sent back to Sunnydale because a dark power was about to rise in Sunnydale. And Drusilla kills her. She's dead. Drew bagged herself a slayer. Sorry. She's dead. So Buffy gets to the scene. Now, the police also get to the scene, and Buffy is implicated in the whole thing. They think she killed Kendra. So I think she is detained, but she escapes. And she heads home to get some stuff, I guess. Meanwhile, heading there, who does she run into but Spike? So Spike reaches out to Buffy because he wants to make a deal. He agrees to help her get Giles back and stop Angel if she will allow him and Drusilla to leave Sunnydale alive. So, Buffy's skeptical, but Spike gives a really good speech about why he actually likes the world and he does not feel like seeing it sucked into a hell dimension. And Buffy needs help getting Giles back. So she agrees. Meanwhile, Joyce also comes home and runs into them, and then occur some of the funniest scenes. Where they're like, "This is Spike. We're in a band." She's hell on the old skins. It's so good. Anyway, obviously that all does not make sense. Joyce figures out, Joyce is told about Buffy being the Slayer, about vampires, about all of that. Understandably, she freaks out and her response is to ground Buffy or something. She wants to keep her at home. So Buffy leaves anyway, and Joyce is like, if you go now, don't bother coming back. So they go. They go to the mansion where the epic showdown is about to occur. It's so satisfying the moment that Spike reveals that he can walk, that he's no longer paralyzed, and it's just funny. It's some funny moments between Spike and Drusilla then as well. Anyway, so Buffy and Angel fight. But basically, it's too late. Angel has already been able to awake Akatla and open the portal, so it's just kind of slowly opening up in the back as they're fighting. Meanwhile, unbeknownst to Buffy, Willow is in the hospital trying to restore Angel's soul. Yeah, because Willow is a witch now. Probably should have mentioned that, but it's a lot. I've already been talking for an hour almost. So she's trying to restore Angel's soul, and she manages to, unfortunately, right in the end. So as they're fighting, as Buffy has just kind of gained the upper hand, Angel regains his soul and becomes Angel again. And so Buffy realizes this. She looks at him and she sees the portal opening behind him, and she knows what she has to do to close the portal. But it's Angel. And so She looks at him, she tells him that she loves him, tells him to close his eyes. She kisses him, and then she kills him. She stabs him with the sword. And this closes the portal, and Angel disappears into it, into a hell dimension. So we have Buffy left there, who just killed the love of her life, who has been kicked out of school, who is wanted by the police, and who has been told not to come back by her mother. So the final scenes are her walking away to a bus station in the most hilariously oversized jeans I've ever seen, with a duffel bag, and she gets on the bus and we see her leave. And that's the end of season 2. So that's the plot. So, Angel, or ASMRvelous, ended up being the big bad in season 2. Which Buffy defeated. Okay, so I'm supposed to talk about characters and episodes now. Just gonna go for it. Just gonna make this hella long. Doesn't matter. Okay, so characters. Obviously, like I said, right from the beginning in the episode, we see that Buffy has been changed by the experience with the Master. So, she's become a bit more serious. She's still not like super focused on the slaying all the time. When we meet Kendra, there's still like a marked contrast between Kendra, who is like 100% all slay all the time, focus girl. So there's still a contrast between them, but they both do learn from each other. Then the event with Angel, them sleeping together and him losing his soul, that scars her. And that's a scar that remains for the rest of the show. And then, after that, the whole season, Buffy's really struggling. It's just rough. So we see a lot of things that change her from that bubbly valley girl in season 1 to Buffy season 7. And then we've got Willow, who also begins some of her important changes. She starts dabbling in witchcraft, and at the end of the season manages to restore Angel's soul. So, we learn that there's some serious power there. She also manages to kind of break free from that childhood crush on Xander, in part due to the fact that Xander and Cordelia start something. So first, there's still a lot of jealousy, but then Oz shows up, and kind of gradually that jealousy and focus on Xander fades, and she learns that Oz is a great guy, and they start a relationship. So Oz, Daniel Osborne, played by Seth Green, he is a guitarist in the local band Dingoes Ate My Baby. He is super adorable. He is super smart, very laconic, doesn't say much, but when he says something, it does pack a punch. There are so many good Oz quotes. I love Oz. Oz is a werewolf. He doesn't start off as a werewolf, but in the season he gets bit. It's a long story. I got bit not that long. He gets bitten by his cousin Jordy, I believe. I think that all happens in the episode Phases, if I remember correctly. So he's a werewolf, and they decide to work through that. And so they keep dating. He's still part of the Scooby Gang. He just has to spend the night in a cage 3 days a month. But yeah, Oz is amazing. I am slightly biased because I love gingers, but Oz is amazing. So Cordelia starts making some changes already, especially towards the end of the season when she does decide that she wants to openly pursue a relationship with Xander. There's this really beautiful scene in Bewitched, Bothered, and Bewildered where Xander asks for a necklace back that he gave her, and at this point they were not together, and Cordelia was seemingly unaffected. And he asks for the necklace back. She's a little incredulous, like it was a gift. And then she goes to her locker to get it, but it turns out she's wearing it, so kind of behind the locker door. She's taking it off from underneath her shirt, and she gives it back. And I think that was a really beautiful scene. So yeah, some character development for Cordelia. No character development for Xander. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but like right up until the end of the season where he decides to hide from Buffy, that Willow is going to try to do the spell to restore Angel's soul again. He's just Xander. Just fucking Xander. That's it. Kendra, Slayer, awesome. Spike and Drusilla. Talked a little bit about Drusilla. Mentally ill, has visions, very powerful. Very unhinged and unpredictable, and it's fabulous. She's played by Juliette Landau. She is beautiful. She's fascinating. I love her character. And then Spike. Yeah, teenaged me was obsessed with Spike. Obsessed. it, but it won't. But yeah, obsessed. He is just like a badass vampire. He's presented as a very layered character from the bat. You know, like on one hand, he's this bad guy vampire who wants to kill Buffy, wreak some havoc. You know, he's like, he kills the anointed one and he does not give a fuck. He does not give a fuck about anything except Drusilla. And you see from the start that he like turns from being evil vampire dude in a fraction of a second to, are you okay? The second Drusilla needs anything or makes any sort of sound at all. So you have this interesting juxtaposition of evil vampire and incredibly loyal and caring partner. Now, in TV and movie history, there is a long, long history of movies and TV shows kind of selling the line that you can turn a bad guy good. You know, that the little damaged man, he's a bit mean, maybe a criminal, maybe a bit violent, I don't know. But he's just misunderstood, you know? He just needs the love of a good woman. And that is such a classic TV trope, and it is so harmful. It's so harmful. And I genuinely believe that it leads young girls to believe that you can turn a bad guy good. You know, that bad guys are just misunderstood. That, you know, they have a soft, gooey center. They don't. They don't. And in this case, I don't think that Spike is an example of that. Now, I'm very aware that I'm hella biased when it comes to Spike in these early seasons. Totally. I've come a long way though, you know, I've come a long way. Back in the day, I would have started some shit with anyone that was Team Angel, you know, and like a decade later, that's not the case anymore. I'm not, you know, the obsession has lifted, but I'm still biased. Just because I love the character. I love the character a bajillion times more than I love Angel's character. Angel's character is flat. Just is. And so, but I don't feel like Spike and Spike's personality fits into that ridiculous TV trope. Because right off the bat, we see these two halves of him. You know, it's clear from the start that he is very sensitive, that he is very human. You know, there's a moment where they assemble the judge, you know, the humanity-sucking demon, and he's like, Spike, nummy treat. because even though he does not have soul, he's a very complex individual, and we know that from the start. And as we learn more of Spike's backstory later on in later seasons, we learn that he is not your typical bad guy, and that is very much a front that he puts up, which, I realize sounds very much like the things we hear in that classic TV trope, like he's not a bad guy, it's just a front. I'm telling you, it's different. Trust me. What am I doing? Okay, I'm just talking about Spike. Yes, I'm still on topic. So Spike, bad boy. Billy Idol stole his look from him. Skinny, sinewy, fiery type of guy. All jawline, all angles. Goodness. Really, honestly, and truly, I know so many men think that women are focused on height, but that is really the male gaze. And I'm sure there are some women like that, 100% sure. But generally, that is not. Seriously, out of all these guys, 100% Oz is the one you want, and he's just like a teeny tiny little pocket human. And Angel and Xander are tall guys and unappealing. But that was off topic. Okay, characters. Do I need to talk about any characters? I mentioned Ethan Rayne. I'm going to mention him again definitely in season 4, but maybe even season 3. But yeah, not going to expand on that. And then episodes. I'm really going to have to do it. I'm going to have to break. I'm going to break. No one's going to make it to the end otherwise. I'm going to come back in part 2B to talk about the episodes. I knew this was going to happen. I love this season. I love this show. Fucking sue me. I'll see you soon, okay?